do I go PRN or do I just stick it out and just try to build this business while I'm full-time? And it's funny, when I just read that question, I think that this individual knows what they need to do, and that most of the time we know what we need to do, right? Like, should I go the PRN route and use extra time to build my business, or should I stick it out in a toxic position and hate every waking minute but have a consistent paycheck? I mean, I'm not making fun of this individual, by the way. I'm simply here to help. But I think that we all ask similar questions to ourselves, and the answer is obvious, right? Like, obviously, we're not going to say yes to number 2. We're going to go with number 1. And I think that the first point that I wanted to make is that I think there's this stigma around quitting a job that like really freaks us out, right? There's this stigma that I think is unnecessary around that, like because we don't like to quit at anything. But the reality is if you are miserable in a toxic position, as this one said, right? Which I remember feeling that way. Like, then we need to entertain the idea of what it would look like to move away from the job, to go down to PRN in the job. Like, we must look at that and go and look at that head on. I mean, it's unnecessary to have this stigma around it of like, oh, I don't know if I should quit this job. Like, if that's the reality and you're really miserable, you're hating every waking minute of the job, we really need to think about a job change. So the first is, let's just remove the stigma from it. Is every single one of you who wants to start a business, you can absolutely go PRN. My wife and I sat down, and it was actually shocking when I wanted to start my practice. We sat down, we looked at all of our expenses, we laid it all out and said, okay, how much do I have to make every single month to just skate by, to just be able to pay our bills, to be able to get by? And it was shocking how little I had to make PRN to make that happen. And so I would suggest all of you that are thinking this, okay, actually look at it objectively and say, okay, how much do I actually need to make? And can I go PRN? Because usually PRN is going to pay you more than if you're in that full-time position that sucks the life out of you. The second point that I'd like to make is just the fact that it's very hard to grow a business being full-time. It's very hard to give your full energy and strength to a business when you're full-time in a position that's sucking the life out of it, that you're hating every waking minute of it. And so if starting a business is something that you're really serious about, and this is something that we need to seriously look at, is being full-time in a business or for another person, is that something that is really helping you towards those business goals? Or could you find a PRN position or go down to PRN and still make enough to cover your bills and your expenses for your family? Maybe not to live abundantly comfortably, but to be able to cover those expenses and then to actually start working on your dreams, your goals. Like, I think it's something that we have to look at really realistically and say. And then also, the second point that I wanted to make was that we need to trust in our ability to figure things out. We need to trust more in our ability to actually figure things out, because I think a lot of times we fear like not having the paycheck, or we fear not having the consistent paycheck, not having the health insurance. And I think these are all just honestly fears that we make them more scary than they actually are. Like the consistent paycheck, I haven't had a consistent paycheck for an employer in over 6 years, and it's not as scary as you think. Like, yeah, you have to build up your business, and yeah, it takes a lot of work ethic to grow your business, but I think there's, again, the stigma around it that makes it seem scarier than it actually really is. And then number two, with health insurance, I mean, there's so many things that out there to be able to do. My family and I still utilize a Christian sharing network that has, through 2 different pregnancies and many different health things along the way, has has been 100% fine for my family and I. When that used to be a fear for me when I leapt in with my business was, oh my gosh, what am I going to do about health insurance? And these health sharing plans have been able to do just as much, if not more, for my family and I and cover us for that piece. And so I think that we really have to look at it and stop creating this massive amounts of fear about it and actually look at it objectively and say like, hey, is this really something that I need to be fearful of? And trust in your ability to actually figure it out. And then lastly is I talk to so many people on a regular basis that are looking for the perfect timing and say that I'll do it one day. I just had a few calls like this last week. And again, I'm not saying this, if you're watching this and you had a call with me last week, I'm not saying this to point you out, but maybe it is the push that you actually need to go make some changes. There's never going to be perfect timing. Life is never going to slow down. And I hate to break it to you, if you're not making current changes right now, there's probably not going to be a change in your financial situation either if you don't start making changes now. There's not going to be this perfect day that you wake up and like the light shining and it's just like, yep, this is the perfect time for me to be able to jump in. Never going to happen. I hate to break it to you. And there's never going to be a day where it's just this, all the stars align and we're able to do this perfectly. No matter what, it's going to be a little bit difficult, but you've got to trust in your ability to figure it out. I trust me when I say we have helped over 250 clinicians to become uncaged, to start their own business. And I have never seen this like catastrophic moment for anyone. Yes, sometimes it adds some stress. Yes, it is a very, very difficult thing to do, but I want you to trust in your ability to figure it out. And don't get stuck in thinking, should I just stick it out for another year in this toxic position that sucks the life out of me every waking minute for just so I can have a consistent paycheck? Like, it doesn't really make sense when we step back and we look at it that way. So trust in your ability to figure it out and understand that life is never going to slow down to the point that we all think it will in the future to make all the stars align and make us be able to do this. If it's something that's important to you and it's been on your heart to start a business, my simple message is just that set a date and do it. Maybe it is January 1st, but I would suggest January 1st is just a really easy date for us to say, oh, it's far enough in the future. Let's just make some changes then. If you've been in this group, you've been seeking out information, absorbing all the amazing information that's in here, and you've still been like, man, I still want to start a practice like all of these other people in here. Set a date and let's do it. Enough looking into the future. Let's set a date in the near future and let's make it happen. We might as well start building your dream, not somebody else's. If you're like this person, this question that I wrote down, if you're like this person that is sticking it out in a toxic position, I want you to just set a date. And then let's start taking actions towards that and trust in your ability to figure it out, because trust me, I've seen it so many times now. I have faith in you that you're going to be able to figure it out. You've got to trust in yourself that you're going to be able to figure it out. And you've got all of these amazing people in this group to help you to figure it out. You've got me to help you figure it out and everybody on the Uncaged Clinician team to help you figure it out. As I always say before I jump off, I'm literally just one message away. I got on a phone call with somebody the other day and she said, I've been following you for like 6 months now, and then you said that in one of your videos that you're just a message away. And I said, oh my gosh, holy crap, like he actually is just a message away. And she messaged me and we got on a call and hopefully I significantly helped you move you along in your journey towards becoming a business owner. But I'm just a message away. All of us with the Uncaged Clinician team, with David, Kevin, Fitz, Nate, Troy, Hannah, Kalika, Carrie, we're literally all just one message away. Reach out to us and let's help move you towards actually becoming a business owner and going after those goals that you have. That's my message to you all today. Let's not stay stuck in something just because of the stigma around quitting a job. If quitting a job is something that you got to do towards getting to that or going down to PRN, if that's what you've got to do, then think about it. But don't get stuck thinking that you have to stay in a job for just a consistent paycheck. We have a beautiful thing as physical therapists and occupational therapists that we can get another job tomorrow. I could get a job as a home health therapist here in Dallas tomorrow if I wanted to. I'm certainly not going to do that. But that's the beautiful thing about us as in our profession. And that was one thing that led me to be able to jump off and start my own business. Was somebody in my life was like, dude, what's the worst that could happen? You have to go get another of these bum physical therapy jobs out there? There's tons of them out there. And so that's when I took the leap, because I knew that the plan B, well, it was what I was already doing. So you guys can do this. Trust in your ability to figure it out, and trust us. We've got your backs. Every single one of us with the Uncaged Clinician team, with David Bailiff who's watching, like, we've got your backs. We're just literally just one message away. Reach out to us so we can help support you on your journey.